was the greatest missed investment opportunity in our living history. Now, you hear people say this all the time about things like Ripple, XRP, cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, but I'm going to break down the why behind it. I think it's important for us to stop parroting information, because that's where we came from, deep indoctrination. We need to start understanding origin and become non-emotional about these markets and understand at a very deep level what is actually happening. So I hope to give you a little bit of my logical circuit and how I make my investments, how I completely changed my life and became financially free since 2020. Yes, I was broke on my parents' couch in 2020, so if that turns you off, I'm not the guy to listen to. But maybe the fact that I've been where most people are at, and I've been there 3 times by losing my money 3 times, it'll open up people's minds and awareness to a new possibility, because the guy wearing a suit in the bank may not be the richest person. It was a powerful lesson that I learned while working at the bank. We all had suits, 535i BMWs, we had these big houses, and the truth is most people were broke. But I'll never forget this moment. There was a guy that walked into the bank and he had paint on his shirt, and he had like jean shorts, all ripped up jean shorts and sandals and some funky toes, kind of like mine. Just a simple guy. And I remember one of my tellers said, hey, and he pulled up right up to the front, which is interesting. And this was in one of our more wealthier banks. And the teller said, I need a override or approval, right? And so I was an executive at that time. I was a vice president. I was in one of the branches, and I decided to step in to communicate with this guy just to see what was going on as the manager came over to do the approval. I was visiting my banks. And I took a gander at this person's account, and I saw 30 $30 million. Paint all over his shirt. Look, you would judge him right away, just like people judge me every day. And I stopped for a moment and I thought, wow, the guy that just walked in his suit and drove up in his Aston Martin was asking for overdraft fees to be reversed. But this gentleman driving a beat up Toyota truck with cut off jean shorts, sandals, and paint on his shirt had millions of dollars sitting in his bank account. So I decided to go around and ask him some questions. And I said, what do you do for a living? He said, nothing. He said, I like to paint, I like to travel, I like to spend time with my grandkids. I just came in today to get some cash to give my grandkids some money in their stockings for Christmas. I think that's that part of the story. He was getting money for his grandkids for something. I might have made up the Christmas part, to be honest with you. It's a long time ago, but he was getting money for something to give to his grandkids. But I do remember being around the holidays. So I thought for a moment, and I asked him one more question. I said, what do you mean you do no thing? He goes, my money works for me. And he just walked away. That was it. He was in a hurry, and I was like, wow. And it hit me one day, or just recently, that I am now that man, that I no longer work for money, that money works for me. And I never thought that moment in that conversation would hit me so hard, because now I no longer trade time for money. Now I hate when people say passive income. The reason why I don't trade time for money is because everything I do is what I created and what I love to do. So for example, I'm traveling with my children right now and I'm earning income. I have multiple equity in multiple companies. Some are in profit, some are not. And I'm an intelligent investor, and the investments that I made have done very well, and I also secured my retirement through insurance. Bless you. Bless you. So let me get to the point, because those of you who are still here are a warrior. Comment warrior if you're here. Because most people can't pay attention for 3 minutes, and that's a problem. And if you can't pay attention for 3 minutes, you'll never be wealthy. Because wealth isn't here, it's not here, it's here. And if you can't be patient, you'll never get your heart to be full. Okay, so why do I think things like XRP and Ripple will be the greatest investments in history? Because everybody's looking at these as cryptocurrencies. You need to look at them as technologies. And coming from the banking system, do you guys realize the actual issue the banking system is in? The banks are fucked, for lack of better terms. Sorry, my kids right there. There's a liquidity crisis, and the system is flipping. And people are like, oh, it's crypto or the bank. No, guys, it's not either or. It's together and cooperating. The private and public sector are coming together. You can listen to all these people on TikTok and YouTube that are throwing out all this FUD. But guys, they are coming together. Companies like Ripple will be working with banks, and companies will be using XRP to move their liquidity. They'll be using things like XLM to move their liquidity. Companies will be using HBAR and QNT and Chainlink. A lot of companies will be using Ethereum as their infrastructure. It's Ethereum, it's the Ethereum body, it's the connection, it's a foundation. A shit load of institutional investors will be buying Bitcoin as